Hello. Hi, Irv. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing? It's June. Happy June. Thanks for being here, guys. Hi, Antonio. Welcome. Hey, Seven. Hey, Mindy. Welcome, guys. Come on in. Hi, Leanne. Where's everyone tuning in from? Hi, Lina. Curious, where is everyone tuning in from? Hey, Kevin. Hey, Jose. We got Antonio in California, Cali. All right. West Coast, we'll accept you. Miami, love it. Where else are you guys tuning in from? Okay, we're chill over here on the East Coast. Guys, we'll give it about a minute. Let everybody trickle on in here. I'm going to give you guys some announcements, so bear with me to give everyone one more minute to get in here. Hey, Emily from New Jersey, just like our CEO, Nish. All right, Kevin, Sarasota, beautiful, love that. Gorgeous area. We're friends over there at the Sarasota RIA as well. They're awesome. All right, guys. Not going to make you wait much longer because we have some good announcements. Got a lot going on this month of June. You guys thought we were going to slow down for the summer? Nope. All right, welcome everyone. Good evening. How are you all doing? How's it going? Already June, halfway through the year. So crazy. So I super happy to have you guys on here. And while you guys are trickling on in, just going to give you guys some evening announcements. My goodness, already stumbling here. No, I'm just kidding. So welcome, guys. As you guys are trickling on in, I'm going to give you guys some announcements. Thank you for coming in tonight. This is the BPM RIA June monthly meeting. That is the Broward Palm Beach Miami-Dade Real Estate Investors Association. My name is Alexa, COO here at BPM RIA, and we have a really, really awesome monthly meeting for you guys. We have Bill Cook in the virtual building. He is going to discuss advanced creative deal structuring in a changing market, and he is an expert in structure stacking and pure options. Now, if this is something foreign to you, don't leave yet. I'm just kidding. Stay on. I promise you're going to want to find out what we're doing tonight and what Bill's been up to, because it's pretty awesome. And that's why he's here tonight. So just to get us started on a high note, everybody, yes, we're going to do a raffle tonight. Somebody in here will be getting paid pretty much to attend our meeting. So if you're interested in winning a free membership, all you need to do is text the word membership to our event line. It is 954-800-6961. Now text that word membership to the event line. It's on the screen. I put it in the chat box for you guys. I'll be putting helpful things in the chat throughout the evening. So for those that are just popping in, you have a chance to win the raffle, and I will announce the winner at the very end. So good luck. Take a picture, check the chat box. Keep your eye on the chat. I'll put it in there a few times for you guys. So good luck. Upcoming events, guys, we have a lot going on this month. So I highly recommend going to the website, checking it out, going to the upcoming events tab, getting registered for all of our upcoming events. We have webinars every single week. We have an in-person workshop in Broward this month. It's going to be a little less real estate investor focused. So I just want to highlight that for a moment. We will be discussing the best strategy to increase leads with a more confident camera presence without fancy equipment. So kind of just wanted to give you guys a heads up, not super real estate investing focus, but this is super, super important for those that maybe don't have any social media presence. This is super important in our industry these days. And I highly recommend if you are not on social media or if you need to, spruce it up a little bit, you go to that workshop. It's limited seating, must register using the link on our website. So you guys, please go to the website. Link is in the chat. We have Pelago. We have, oh my gosh, we have all these raffles that we're going to be giving at these events as well. So go to the website, go register for each and every one of these webinars. They are all free. Share this with a friend if you love them. Go, go, go. Don't wait. Get in there. My favorite way to keep up with events, as most of you know, is by text. It's so easy, so convenient. All you need to do to get the text updates is opt in by texting BPM REIA, all one word, no spaces, to our event line, 954-800-6961. You'll get the text message update with the registration link with a heads up. So convenient, so easy. Go ahead and do that if you're interested. And I put those details all in the chat for you guys. So we're going to keep on moving here so we can get built on. Just a heads up, you guys, we put out the new dates for the upcoming Quick Start training. It is August 10th and 11th, 2 full days. We're going to discuss wholesaling and flipping, rehabbing. Great training if you want to start getting into wholesaling, flipping, and rehabbing here in South Florida. Of course, you can take these strategies to other places, but we will be discussing our strategies that we're using here in South Florida, everything that our mentors and our students are doing that's working down here. 2 full days on Zoom, member and non-member pricing. So go check out the link in the chat to see the different speakers that we have on the training, the different topics we cover, and we will see you guys there. Alrighty, members, as you know, you get all the goodies. You get the National REIA benefit package, the discounts to Home Depot, Millennial Insurance, Rent Perfect, CAMA plan, Avis budget, the list goes on. You get in free for our 4 quarterly networking meetings per year. Your guests come in at a discount, all that amazing stuff. So go check out the link in the chat if you need to get your membership, if you need to renew. I popped that in there for you guys. So last but very not least, mentoring and coaching here at BPM REIA. Some of you may know that we offer a one-on-one coaching program where we put up 100% of the money for our students' deals and split the profit 50-50. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, or if you are interested, please go to our website. I have a link on our website where you can book a discovery call with me. This will be with you and with me, where we can discuss what you're looking for, any questions. I can give you a complete breakdown of the brochure, what's included in the programs, what's going on, the pricing, all that good stuff. So go ahead and book that discovery call. I love to chat with you guys and see what you need. This is a one-on-one coaching program, so we look forward to seeing what you need and how we can help. So guys, oh, last but very not least, guys, I always forget I have one more slide after this one. We were approved to work with a third party funding agency. So if you are interested in funding your education, all you need is minimum 620 credit score, 35,000 verifiable income, soft credit pull, same day response. So if you guys do this right now or tonight, you'll get a response tomorrow. So during business hours, you can get response in 1 hour. So you guys, super convenient. Go scan the code if you're interested in the third party funding, or you can always book a call. Email me, let me know if I can send that to you via email. We are here to help. I always want to take a moment to thank all of our vendor partners, thank the National REIA for all the awesome stuff that they give us. Thank you guys for being in here tonight. Please, please, I'm just going to warn you right now. This is going to be the class that you guys have been all asking for. You guys have been asking for creative. You've been asking for advanced. You've been asking, what can we do that's different? And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to have Bill, I don't want to say he's going to blow our minds because we're very smart people here. We know that there are some avenues that people are doing and that things that are working for people that maybe we haven't fully investigated yet. Well, we're going to do a deep dive tonight with Bill. He's going to go and tell us all the things that he's up to. He's going to answer your questions as well. So the best way to do this, just a few housekeeping rules, not gonna, be bossy tonight because I'm just here to make sure everybody has a great experience and gets all their questions answered. But please, please, I encourage you to put those questions in the Q&A box so that we don't miss them in the chat. Chat runs a little bit quick sometimes, so get those questions in the Q&A box. I will be keeping an eye on the chat for you guys. I'm going to be putting some helpful links in there throughout the evening. So put your questions in the Q&A. We don't want to miss them, but Bill's going to be, testing you guys tonight. He's going to be pushing you and we want to answer your questions well. So be interactive with Bill. He's going to be this is going to be a treat. I'm really excited. So without further ado, Bill, please, we're on the edges of our seat. We have, I think, almost 150 people registered tonight. They may not all be here right now, but if they're watching this replay, they're going to wish that they were here right now so that they can actually ask the live Q&A and engage with you. And, we're grateful for everyone's here. So
Alexa's going to help me as y'all have questions. I've told her to please interrupt me because I like to take questions as I go. Also, my beautiful wife, Kim, is on the call. And so she'll be answering some of the questions in chat. And I did not know she was going to be on the call. She's not supposed to be on the call, but I used a picture in here of her that she's not going to like very much, but I didn't think she was going to be on the call. So I thought I was going to get away with something, but evidently I'm in trouble. Anyway, so let me go ahead and share my screen and I'll get us started.
Awesome, guys. All right.
Now what you should be seeing is a full slide of my creative deal structuring start slide, which is a creative deal structuring and a changing market. Is that correct? Alexa?
Yes, I gave thumbs up, but somehow that did fireworks. So
oh yeah, I can't see you. All I can see are the slides on my screen, so I can't see you.
Cool.
It's just gonna be this. So you're gonna have to interrupt as we go. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm gonna be speaking about tonight is creative deal structuring, and y'all have heard this phrase a lot, but understand what Kim and I teach is advanced creative deal structuring. So you may see something like a subject to deal as creative, and there's a master lease, lots of different things, to different ways to structure deals. It's just most of what we cover is in our classes is advanced creative deal structuring. And often we're using 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different creative deal structuring tools to make a single transaction work. That's what makes it advanced. So it's not just a subject to deal. It may be a subject to deal that has owner carry notes. And I'm probably using language now that you're sitting there scratching your head going, what is he talking about? I'll get to it. So anyway, let's get started. And I want to start with the deal. And I want you to understand a couple of things. First of all, where I am. Kim and I sold our horse ranch in 2018, and we moved into our motorhome, which is where we've been living for the past 6 years, traveling around the country, seeing stuff. Because, one of the things we all do is we want financial freedom so we can travel. So that's what we've been doing for more than 6 years now. And that means I'm in an RV park right now in a place called Nokomis, Florida, which is close to Venice, which is just south of Sarasota. Anyway, I'm in the clubhouse because this is where they have Wi-Fi. So there may be people who come and go, and you may see someone walk by in my camera lens. Just understand, if you see something that looks like a prune with legs, the RV park I'm in is for old people. So it's not a prune. It really is a person, but it may be a very tanned prune. But anyway, and the other thing is I may have a couple of my friends, because Kim put this out that I was teaching this tonight. And I've learned that some of my friends will pop on the calls now and again, and they will ask ridiculous questions and make embarrassing statements about me. And there's nothing I can do about it. So I will apologize now if that happens. So let's talk about Elm Street. And with Elm Street, it's a deal that Kim and I did a number of years ago. And in this structure, I foreclosed on myself. And you're probably sitting there looking at yourself going, you foreclosed on yourself. Can you do that? How do you do that? Why would you do that? So pay attention to this deal and you'll understand why. And so you know what you're looking at. This is Elm Street. This is the property we're talking about, but you're seeing the picture after Kim and I did the work to it. So the trees have been pruned up, the bushes have been cut down, the grass has been cut. This house looks much better than when I first saw it. I was out door knocking on this street in Adairsville, Georgia, and it was a scary place. So again, what you're looking at is not how the house looked to me, and you could tell someone had lived there, but they weren't there anymore and hadn't been there for a while. So I want you to know, how do I get information about a property? And what I do is I go 5 doors to the left, 5 doors to the right, 10 doors across the street. I just talk to the neighbors. And that's how I get my information about the property. And more about on that in a minute, but I want you to see what this property looked like. So when I went to this house, I didn't even know what the street address was. So I had to pull back the ivy that had overgrown the mailbox to realize it was 122 Elm Street. So this house, again, the trees were growing all the way down. The grass was up high. The house, the bushes around the house were overgrown. It was a scary, scary place. And I want you to know that when I found this place, it was September the 22nd. When we put this house under contract, it was September the 22nd, 2016. You might want to write down that date. It's going to be important in just a minute. And so again, the neighbors told me that the mom had passed away. Dad had passed away years before. 3 boys had inherited the house, and they had not done anything with the house, never wanted to go back into the house. They had tried to list it with the realtor, but the realtor said, you got to clean up the property if you want us to list it. And they weren't willing to do that. So that was the situation the neighbors told me about. Again, nobody was living here, but the house was closed up. So I left what I call a teeter-totter offer in the door. So this is the offer I leave most often. Again, I call it a teeter-totter offer. Another name for it is price terms. And the reason why I call it a teeter-totter is I want you to picture in your mind's eye a teeter-totter. And a teeter-totter is that thing that goes, this way, right? And there's 2 seats. And imagine above one seat, you put the price, you put the term price, and above the other seat, you put the term terms. So if I'm dealing with a teeter-totter offer, I will give the seller price. I'll take terms. In other words, they can name any price they want, $3 trillion. My answer is yes. They get price. They get that seat on the teeter-totter. And whatever they say, the answer is yes. But I get the term seat on the other side, which says, here's how I will pay for this property. So that's why I'm not scared of a $2 trillion offer. By the way, I make $2 trillion, $3 trillion offers on a regular basis. But it may be that the monthly payments, like in this case, are $300 a month until paid. Now, if someone comes to me and says, I want all cash, the answer is yes, I'll give you all cash. But understand what they're asking for. They're asking how they want to be paid, which is terms, which is all cash, which I'll give them, but then I get the price seat. So I get to talk, I get to name what the price is. So now I want you to look at my Canvas card. And again, I left this in the door when I was done writing it, but let's start with the top right-hand paragraph. This is what I wrote. I love your house. Now, remember, I told you the house was scary and overgrown and needed a lot of work. I still wrote, I love your house. I didn't say your house looks like crap. Don't do that. I love your house. We want to buy a home here. If my offers are ever of interest, let's talk over a cup of coffee. And I want you to understand what I'm really asking for here. When I say a cup of coffee, I don't really mean a cup of coffee. What I mean is I want a face-to-face meeting, but I don't want to say face-to-face because that can maybe chill some people down. But in saying, hey, let's have a cup of coffee, well, people will do that. Maybe we go to Waffle House. Maybe we're going to go to a restaurant, maybe the realtor's office, maybe at the property itself, maybe at a neighbor's house, wherever. I don't care. So that's what I'm asking for. And then when you look at offer number 1, remember the teeter-totter, that is my terms offer. In other words, I'm getting terms. So I said, we will pay $42,000 cash. We will give $5,000 down. and we'll make monthly payments of $300 per month. So that's the terms offer. Now, people always ask how Kim and I have managed to get so many owner finance deals in our lives. And the answer is we make a lot of owner financed offers. And if you never make an owner financed offer, I promise you, you're never going to do a subject to deal. A seller will not look at you and say, instead of you giving me cash, can you just make me monthly payments? That just doesn't happen. Doesn't make any sense. So you've got to make the owner financed offers in order to get owner financed deals. Now look at offer number 2. It says we can pay $27,000 cash and we can close quickly. So this is my teeter-totter offer. Again, I do this when they're not home, when I don't get to the kitchen table, when I don't get a chance to talk to the seller, or the seller really won't give me any information. This is what I'm going to use. This is what I'm going to go with. But the key here is I made a written offer and I put it in the door of the home. Now, to let you know what happened is the neighbors actually called and let the boys know, the people who inherited the home, the 3 boys, know that I put an offer in the door, and they came down and got the offer and called me. And Kim and I met with one of the boys who was the leader of the 3, and to see what we could do about buying their property. So what you're seeing now is a T-bar, and this is by far, without anything else close to it, the most important tool, the most important document I use as a creative deal maker, and it's called a T-bar. And I'm going to explain what this is, and then you're going to see it in action. So what a T-bar is I either have my pad of paper with me, or if I'm in someone's home, I said, do you have some paper that I can have, or something to write with where I can make some notes? And they give me the paper. And then I just put a T, like what you're looking at there. And on the top left-hand side, I put down current position. And on the top right-hand side, I put down potential position. Now, on the current position, what I'm doing is asking the seller a lot of questions. And what I'm trying to find out is I'm trying to get to the answer of Pete Fortunato's famous question, which is, why are you selling such a nice house like this? And remember, our job as real estate investors is not to buy, sell, or rent houses. Our job as real estate investors is to help solve people's real estate problems. That's what we really are in the business of doing. But in order to solve someone's real estate problems, you first have to understand what those problems are. This is why the T-bar is so, so important to me. So current position is me asking what's going on. And then as I'm talking to them on the right-hand side, as I hear a problem, I'm thinking, okay, what's the solution to that problem? So let's look at what the 3 boys said. First of all, they wanted fast cash. That was important to them. And they didn't want to list with a realtor. They had met with a couple of realtors, but all the realtors said they had to come and landscape the property and clean all their mom's stuff out, and they just didn't want to go do it. Also, they didn't want to pay any closing costs. A number of realtors said you're going to need to pay closing costs, and they didn't want to do it. And they did not want to go back in the house ever again in their lifetimes. And I told them, I said, you can make more, if you sell this house yourself, you can make a lot more money than what I'm willing to pay you. I said, so why don't you think about doing the rehab or doing the landscaping, or at least cleaning it up a little bit? And they said, we do not want to do this. So on the left-hand side, these are the pain points. This is why they're selling the house. This is what they want to have happen. And so I told you, as I'm writing these things down, I'm thinking about what is the solution. So it begins with an arrow to the right-hand side, which is the potential position, meaning if they will accept my offer, they're going to move from the left-hand side of the T-bar to the right-hand side of the T-bar. And sometimes I can't solve all of their problems, but I can make the problems they're having either go away or be a lot better than they were before I got there. So let's look at this case. So when they said they wanted fast cash, I made an arrow to the potential position. I thought, okay, they're going to get fast cash. And they don't want to list with the realtors. I said, well, we're not realtors, we're buyers. So you don't have to work with the realtor. Left-hand side, they don't want to pay any closing costs. I said, okay, we'll pay all the closing costs. Left-hand side, they don't want to go back in the house. Right-hand side, you never have to go back in the house again. Left-hand side, You don't want to landscape or rehab or clean. Right. We'll buy it as is. You don't have to do anything. And people always ask, how do I know how to creatively structure a deal when I'm talking to a seller? And the answer is because of this most important tool of all, the T-bar, the seller tells me how to fix the problem. They tell me what the problem is. And if I take care of some or all of these problems, I'm likely to get this deal if they so choose. So this is why a T-bar is so important. And guess what? Almost no investor you know will use a T-bar. So if you start using T-bars, and again, I cannot begin to tell you how important this is to me more than any other document I use, yet most investors don't even take time to do this. And most investors, they don't even take time to really learn why the seller's selling. And that's a crime. And that's why a lot of people miss deals that maybe Kim and I are able to get, because we take time to find out what the problem is. We solve it. So if you want to do more deals, find more people to help and find more problems to solve. So here is the accord. Here is the agreement that we came to with the boys. We'll close in 7 days. We'll pay $27,000 all cash at closing. We'll pay all the closing costs. We'll buy the house as is. You never have to go back in the house ever again. But I want to make sure we close with my long-term real estate attorney, Lee Perkins. So these are the things this is what we all agreed to. And I ended up putting this to paper, and that was the contract we used. Now, we're going to talk about some dates and some things that you need to know on this deal. First of all, the closing was set. And this is about a week after this is exactly a week after we put the property under contract. The closing was set for September 29th, 2016 at 1 p.m. That's an important date and time, and you want to write that down. So this is 1 week after we signed the contract. Now, in between the time we did the contract and the time that we closed on it, there was a weekend where we were putting this deal together. And one of the things that we talked about was we always buy our property in a trust. And some of y'all have heard of land trust. And this isn't a trust class, but I just want you to know that Kim and I do use a trust to hold our properties. Now, let me ask about your imagination. And Alexa, this is where I need your help. I want to know where your crowd, you can name a trust, anything you want to. And if you were buying a property on Elm Street, a scary house on Elm Street, what would you name the trust? Anybody giving you feedback?
Yep, we're getting some feedback. You guys send it in the chat. Send it in the chat, guys. Elm Street, Elm Family Trust, Scary Trust, Nightmare, Nightmare on Elm.
There you go. Now you're going to where it's the obvious one. The Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street Trust. You can name a trust anything you want to. So why would you not name it the Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street Trust? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Of course you would. However, I had a problem. So these are three of my friends. So there's Kim, and you from left to right, you see Keith Rain and Reggie Lau and Chris Glez, three of my buddies. They stayed over that weekend in between the time we put the property under contract and we bought it. And I said, y'all help me with the name of the trust. And Keith, the guy on the left, said, man, I'd call it the Nightmare on Elm Street. And I said, man, that's a great idea. That is fantastic. That's what we're going to name it. And then Kim came in and she said, no, you can't do that. I said, well, why can't I do that? And she said, you can't. She said, when we go to sell the property and the lender, the buyer's lender sees that the seller is the Nightmare on Elm Street, the lender may back out. You can't call it that. So then we said, well, what about the Freddy Krueger Trust? And Kim said, well, Elm Street, they'll figure that out. You can't go do that. Kim can just suck the fun out of anything. And people said, well, why did I listen to her? Why didn't I just do what I wanted to? And it's because Kim scares me. And if you want to see what Kim looks like when she gets mad at me, this is the face that I see. And that scares me more than Freddy Krueger. Okay. So I had to go ahead and then bow down to her worshipfulness and go with what she said. So I couldn't use the trust name that I wanted to. And that kind of hurt my feelings. But anyway, Anyway, that kind of hurt my feelings, but I want y'all to see something here. Before I bought the property, this is the day I bought the property. And so we're closing on it on September the 29th, 2016. Now, I want you to know, before I left for the closing to buy the property, at 11 a.m. that morning, I called in this foreclosure ad you're looking at that ran in the Daily Tribune in Bartow County, which is the paper of record. And you got to first know how foreclosures work in Georgia. The way a foreclosure works in Georgia, we're in a non-judicial foreclosure state, which means it does not go in front of a judge the way it does here in Florida. And what you have to do is the foreclosure auction is on the first Tuesday of each month on the courthouse steps from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And same thing as every county in Georgia. So that's how it runs. But to get your foreclosure ad in the paper, the foreclosure ad has to run for 4 consecutive weeks before the Tuesday foreclosure auction. And to get the foreclosure ad in the paper, I had to send it in no later than the 29th of September. And because my goal was to sell this at the foreclosure auction, and that was going to be on November the 1st, 2016, before I even owned the property, I called in this ad. So what you're looking at is, number one, when you see notice under power, that's just the foreclosure ad. If you look at number 2, you'll see that Kim and I borrowed $30,000 to do this deal with. Number 3 is, you can see that the foreclosure auction will be on November the 1st, 2016. That date's important, November the 1st. And then number 4 is, you can see that it is 122 Elm Street. So this is the ad I called in before I even bought the property. And there's 2 other things I want you to look at. Again, this is in the ad itself. Number 1 is, I got away. Kim let me get away with calling it the Kruger Trust. So I didn't get Freddy Krueger. I didn't get Nightmare on Elm Street, but I did get Kruger Trust done. And the other thing is, when I called in the ad, the lady who took the ad from me said, well, we need to know what deed book and page number the security deed is in. And I said, well, I don't know what it's in. And she said, well, we have to have a number here. We can't leave this space blank. And so I use for deed book XXXX and page number XXX. And the lady who was taking the ad said, well, we have to use a number here. We can't do this. I said, well, we are using a number. Roman numerals. Kid you not. And she let me get away with it. So that's what you're looking at in this ad. So before I buy the property, I've already got the foreclosure ad running, and you're wondering if this really went through. Number 1 is, here's the warranty deed of us buying the property. It got recorded in the Bartow County Courthouse. And then the name of the trust was, as you can see, J. DeVue is trustee of the Kruger Trust. So I got part of it through. Kim wouldn't let me get it all the way through, but that's the way it goes. So we did buy the property. And this is Lee Perkins, my attorney. And I'll tell you that when I bought the property and after it was all closed, I looked at Lee, and again, the sellers walked out. They had a check from me for $27,000. And I looked at Lee and I said, I got some more business for you, Lee. He goes, what's that? I said, I need you to cry a foreclosure for me on November the 1st, 2016. He went, okay, what's the property? And I said, 122 Elm Street. And he just looked at me and said, you just bought that property. I said, yeah, I know. And he said, well, you haven't even made the first payment on it yet. I said, no, I haven't even made a payment on it yet. I deserve to be foreclosed on, Lee. And he just kind of started laughing and shook his head. He said, well, I need to get the ad into the paper. Today's the last day. I said, don't worry, I've already done it. And he goes, so you sent the ad in before you bought the property? I said, yeah, the ad's in there. Don't worry, it's covered. I just need you to cry it on November the 1st. Okay. So your question for me is going to be, why would I foreclose on myself? And here's the reason. This is something Kim and I started doing back in the early 2000s. And the market was hot in 2003 and 2004, just like it is now. And so here's the question for you. What is a foreclosure auction like these days? If you've ever been to one, you'll see people bidding each other up hard and heavy. It's a very competitive market right now. And when you sell, if you're going to flip a house and you're selling it, when and how do you want to be paid? Do you want to be paid sooner or later? And do you want to be paid in cash, or do you want someone to have to go get a mortgage? Don't you want to be paid as fast as you can and for cash? Of course you do. And do you like paying realtor commissions when you sell a house? Well, when a property sells at the foreclosure auction, no realtor commissions. And do you like rehabbing a property? No, no one likes to do that. Well, properties sold at the auction are sold as is, and investors buying those properties understand those houses will be in rough shape. So what's the one downside to a foreclosure? And the answer is your credit can be affected, right? That's what a lot of people say was going to affect your credit. Okay, let's go back to the foreclosure ad. Let's look at the foreclosure ad and it lists who the lenders are. So the lenders who loaned me the $30,000 was JSBP and Associates LLC. Have you ever heard of them? Bet you haven't. JSBP stands for Jones Stewart and Bruce Poor, my next door neighbors. They're the ones that loan me the money. They were my private money lenders, and they don't report to a credit bureau. And before I even did the deal, I said, here's the structure. Here's how we're going to exit from this deal. I'm going to foreclose on myself. And she said, why would you do that? And I just gave her the reasons I just gave you. And she goes, well, that's a good idea. Now, we bought the property and I'm going to take it to the November 1st foreclosure auction. And Kim, she got the wild hair that she would rather sell the house to someone local there in our little hometown of Adairsville, and where they can make the house a home versus some investor on the courthouse steps. And so she came to me and she said, Bill, I want to sell these people to someone nice that I know in Adairsville. That's how she talks. And I said, okay, I'll agree to that if we get $42,000 all cash and we have to close and have to be paid before the November 1st, 2016 foreclosure auction, because I've already paid for the foreclosure ad. I've already put this in motion. So if they're going to buy it, it's $42,000. They got to buy it before November the 1st. So she agreed to that. And by the way, there's a sign that we use. We just hand paint them and they work fantastic. Now, here's something you may not know. It took Kim about 3 days and she called me up and she says, Bill, I found them. I found them. I found them. I found the best people for this house. They're just terrific. They love it. They're willing to pay $42,000 and they're perfect for it. And I said, can they close before November the 1st? She said, you're going to love them. Nice people. They have the cutest little dog. I said, can they close before November the 1st? She said, I know their mama. I've known their mama for a long time. She and I are friends. We ride horses together. And I said, Kim, can they close by November the 1st? She said, well, no, Bill, they can't. I said, then the deal's off. As we agreed, $42,000, and they got to close before the November 1st foreclosure auction. She calls me up about 5-6 days later and she says, Bill, we're in heaven. She said they can pay $42,000 and they can close on the Elm Street house the day before the November 1st foreclosure auction. They can close the day before the November 1st foreclosure auction. They can buy the Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street house the day before the November 1st foreclosure auction. What day is the day before the November 1st foreclosure auction? Hey, Alexa, anybody getting this?
Yeah, sorry, I'm giggling over here behind the scenes. One of our students is very quick. He's very quick, Eduardo.
Oh, yeah, okay. So here's something that you may not know. There are 364 days of the year that if you walk into a closed attorney's office with a chainsaw revved up, you will get arrested. However, there's one day that you can sell the Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger property with a chainsaw revved up in the attorney's office, and everybody's going to laugh about it on Halloween. And so we sold that property on Halloween. I thought that was pretty neat. That's a good story. And we made $12,000 in 33 days on this property. So here are the lessons from this deal. Door knocking works. Remember, that's how I found it. And you saw a teeter-totter offer at work. Again, another phrase for that is a price terms offer. And this is being recorded, and you're going to want to go back and watch this again and look at that teeter-totter offer. You also saw a T-bar at work, which is the most important tool I use as a real estate investor. And you learn that you can name a trust anything you want to, as long as your wife will let you. And you learn that you can make some fast cash as a real estate investor. You also learn that sometimes chainsaws are allowed in an attorney's office. And finally, the lesson is sometimes it's wise to foreclose on yourself. Not every time, but sometimes. So that's a pretty good deal. So my question is, do y'all have any questions? That was an interesting first deal, and you're about to see 3 more. Equally perplexing.
Yes, it was very interesting, but it was a very good learning deal. So I have been getting questions. So guys, you're putting your questions in the chat. If you could put those in the Q&A, that would be phenomenal. So I don't have to scroll and dig for them. Do you form an LLC as the beneficiary?
Do I form the trust? Or in other words, what's the beneficiary of my trust? Yes. I learned how to do my trust work, my LLCs, and my corporations, my corporate work, from a man by the name of Dykes Bodiford. And his website is assets101.com. He has by far the best courses on entities and how to work with them that I've ever seen. So Dykes has been one of my primary teachers since 1997. So yes, the beneficiary in this case of this trust was a single member LLC.
Thank you so much, Bill. I see another question was, how did you get the 30K loan? And I know you answered that already. So
as my neighbor, I walked over and said, "Hey, Joan, I need to borrow $30,000." And she has loaned to me regularly over the years.
Amazing. Let's see. Isn't there a risk? Aren't, gosh, sorry. Isn't there a risk? Aren't you going to get more than 27,000 at foreclosure? I don't know if that's a question or.
Well, yeah, if they bid it up, guess who gets the money? I'm foreclosing on me. And I hope it gets bid up above the 27. I hope it gets bid up to about $70,000. That meant I would have sold the house for $70,000 instead of $42,000, huh? I wanted to get bid up. I'm foreclosing on myself.
Right. Okay. This is a good one. Okay. How would that work in a judicial state like Florida, where lawyer fees, et cetera, are costly?
No clue. I've never had to do it in a judicial foreclosure state. Now, Kim and I are living, our residence is still Georgia, but we are in the process of moving to Venice. So you ask me next year, I'll be able to answer the question. But remember, I've never foreclosed on myself in Florida, so that's something I'm going to learn.
Okay. I guess, but Vic, if you could put these in the Q&A, that would be amazing. If
Okay.
it does get, sorry, Bill, what was that?
I'm about to say, let me keep rolling then. Okay. We hit a couple
Okay, yes.
questions and I want to keep, we're going to be doing questions on each deal, but let me keep rolling.
Okay, perfect. There's a ton. So you let us know.
Okay.
Awesome.
Again, I want to I'm going to take a couple questions as we go. And Alexa,
Okay.
you already know to interrupt me. If you see a good question come up, I'm happy to take them.
Okay.
Okay. So that was Elm Street. Now let's look at William Street. And this was a case where the owner could not afford to pay his property taxes anymore. And in Florida, with what's going on with insurance and what's going on with property taxes, there are a lot of people that are struggling to pay both of those things. So you should pay particular attention to this deal, because this is a case of a homeowner who does not want to sell. And right now, if you're like most investors, you cannot help someone who does not want to sell their house other than making them a 70 cent on the dollar offer, which means you're going to get nowhere. But I want you to see how you can help someone and do a deal when someone does not want to sell. So in this case, I was walking through another neighborhood, and this house did not have a for sale sign in front of it, but I did knock on the door, and owner came out, talked to me. And the approach I used in this case was, I love your house. I love your street. I love your neighborhood. My wife and I would love to own a home here. do you know of anybody who's thinking about selling? And the man, he was about 68, 69 years old. He was sitting on top of those steps, and he just kind of lowered his head and he lowered his voice and he goes, yeah, me. Now you can tell by the way he said that he wasn't excited about selling his house. So here's the conversation. And so when I asked him, he said, yeah, me. He goes, I'm probably going to have to sell pretty soon. But I could tell by his body language and his voice inflection, he didn't want to. And I said, why? Why are you having to sell? He said, I can't afford to pay the property taxes anymore. He said, I thought we were set for life, but evidently, and we all know how much property taxes and insurance and the cost of gas and everything else has gone up over the years. And when you're on a fixed income, it really hits you hard. And it was hitting him hard at the time. And he said, I'm 5 years from having my house paid for. If I could just get through those 5 years. And I said, well, do you want to sell? He goes, no, this is our forever home. I want to be here for at least 10 years. I love this place. And I said, would you be willing to trade a glass of sweet tea to find out how you can keep your house and never, ever pay property taxes again? And he kind of laughed. He goes, is it a joke? I said, no, sir, but it will cost you a glass of sweet tea. He goes, my wife makes the best sweet tea in the world and she's inside. So we went inside, sat down at the kitchen table. So it was this man and his wife and me. Remember the tea bar? I said, do you have any paper? Because I always have my pen with me. Usually it's around my neck, but I always have my pen with me. And this is the tea bar that I did. So when I was asking him, where does it hurt? Where are the pain points? Here's what he said. He goes, I don't want to sell right now. And my property taxes are too high. I did ask him, have you thought about fighting your property taxes? He said, you can't fight property taxes and win. You can't fight City Hall. He goes, don't you know that? And he said, we just can't afford these property taxes. It's just too much of a bite. He goes, I've got to move somewhere else, less expensive. And he said, and we don't want to move. Now, if I can solve these problems for this man, do you understand that he may take whatever solution I come up with, that he may take that? I'm not saying he will, but I'm saying he may. But what if I had not knocked on his door? What if I don't even try to solve his problem? So here's how we did it. I said, you don't have to sell right now, that we can lower your property taxes, and that I've been fighting property taxes for 16 years on my properties, and I'm really good at it. And you never have to pay property taxes ever again. I said, think about that. So I'm not telling them how this is going to work. I'm just telling them what's going to happen. And I said, and you don't have to move. You can stay here for at least 10 years. Now, when I was sitting down with him, I didn't know how to structure this deal. I didn't know what creative deal structuring tools I'd take out of my deal structuring toolbox. But after asking these questions and seeing this, I knew exactly the tools to use. So here is the accord. In other words, the agreement. I call it the accord. This is what we agreed to. And I asked him, what is your property worth today? And he said, fair market value is about $175,000. I knew the area and I knew he was right. I worked the same areas over and over and over again. I've always worked something is called it's a 5-mile circle around the Cartersville, Georgia Walmart. That's my territory for more than 20 some odd years. So I don't work a big area, 5-mile circle. But anyway, so the property, he said, was worth 175, and I agreed with him. And I said, we will fight your property taxes from now on. I'm really good at it. And I said, and I will pay your property taxes from now on. You no longer have that expense. Do you see how this took the need to sell his property, the reason why he was given, off his back? Here's what I asked for in return. I said, I want you to give me a 30-year option to buy your house for the $175,000 it's worth today. In other words, I have the right to buy the property anytime in the next 30 years for $175,000. And he can't sell it to somebody else. I'm the buyer. And he can't tell me to buy it sooner or later. I have anytime in the next 30 years, I can sell it. But remember, he wanted to be there for at least 10 years, and we'll go into that in a second. The other part of this was, for each $1 I pay in property taxes, we reduce the purchase price by $1.50. That's a 50% return on my money. That's a great yield on my money. So again, $1.50 comes off the $175,000 strike price. for every dollar I spend on property taxes. So it makes it worth it to me to pay his property taxes. And again, I said that we will not exercise the option for the first 10 years. That way he can stay there and I won't come in and say, it's time for me to buy your house. And he was really happy with this situation. So this is what we came up with. And this is someone I found again by door knocking. I had a conversation with him. He did not want to move. And this was a really good deal because it was what the technique we're using is called a strategic option, which means it's a long-term option. And I use this when an owner doesn't want to sell right now. What tool are you using when you find someone who is being forced to sell, but they don't want to sell? What tool do you have in your toolbox? Anything? I bet more than likely for most investors, the only tool in their toolbox is the big damn hammer. What I mean by that is all they know how to do creatively is to buy a house for 70 cents on the dollar minus expenses. And that's it. And the seller says no to that. There's nowhere else to go. And you go to the next seller. This is a case where we're able to get a deal with someone who did not want to sell. So for us, it's a good long-term investment. And it's a perfect deal for our self-directed retirement account. And I did, I've heard people talk about these things and they talk about a buyback option, but I will tell you when I'm dealing with a homeowner and we're talking about his primary residence where he lives, I will not ever discuss a buyback option ever, because that can be seen as being something called a disguised loan. And I just don't want to go there. So I tell owners, when I'm buying and acquiring an option for them, I tell them my plan is to one day purchase this house and make a substantial profit. That's why I'm doing this. And so that said, might the owner come to me one day and offer to pay me to make my option go away? The answer is that's what happens with most of my options, but that's not a discussion we're going to have when we're doing an option. I tell them, I plan on buying and exercising this option, buying the property and making a substantial sum of money. And if that doesn't work for you, I understand. Tell me that now and let me use a different set of tools to solve this problem, because this is just one way to solve the problem. So please answer this question for me. What is creative deal structuring? Alexa, whoever answers this question first, tell me what they said. What is creative deal structuring?
Let's see, anybody? We have a ton of questions, but
I'm gonna come back. I'll come back to those questions.
we have Eduardo here. Okay, finding a solution to the seller's problems. Elizabeth says thinking outside of the box by solving others' problems.
Wait. She said what?
Elizabeth said thinking outside of the box
Think
by
outside. Wait, Alexa, I want you to write that down. I want you to write down her answer, which is to think outside the box. Write that down for me.
Love that.
I want everybody to remember that she said, think outside the box. Hold that thought. Okay. Let me keep on moving. Okay, Alexa? But hold on to that. Okay. So let's talk about how to learn creative deal making. And just understand it's not a born knowing how to do it thing. It's a learned thing. It's like learning a language. Now, many of you, because you're in the Miami area, may speak 2 or 3 different languages. So let's kind of run it through this way. When it comes, and I'm going to compare it to speaking Chinese. So the question I have for the group is it hard to learn to speak Chinese? And I'm willing to bet almost everybody on this call is going to say, yeah, learning Chinese is very difficult. And I'm going to tell you that you could not be more wrong. And here's my proof. Right now, there's 1 billion 5-year-olds who live in China, and they speak Chinese fluently, and their brains are not yet fully formed, yet they speak Chinese fluently. So how do these 5-year-olds with not fully formed brains, how is it that they're able to speak Chinese fluently? And the answer is what? Someone tell me. No?
Let's
Let me
see.
help.
strict parents
No, no.
practice.
Here's the secret. Here's the secret to learning a language, whether it's creative deal structuring or any other language. Immersion. You have to be around it all the time. The 5-year-olds, all they hear is Chinese all day long. So of course they learn Chinese. My first language was Spanish because I was born in Barranquilla, Colombia. Then we moved to Tikasati, Guatemala. My second language was Thai because we moved to a little place called Udon Thani, Thailand. So I spoke Spanish and Thai. And then when I was almost 7, we moved to the States and I learned English. That's what I was around. That's why I spoke the different languages. It wasn't because I was smart. It's just I was immersed in it. That's the secret to creative deal structuring. So where do you learn creative deal making? First, join UREA. Don't just join, go to the meetings. Don't just go to the meetings, volunteer at the meetings. Get really involved in these things. Number 2 is find great teachers who are wonderful at teaching creative deal making. Also, hang around the gray hair and bald heads. When you go to UREA, look for the older people because they've been around and they understand the language. They've been speaking the language for a very long time. And finally, networking, like being on this call or go to breakfast with some investors or go to lunch, set up a dinner meeting, whatever it is you do, get around other people, immerse yourself in the language of creative deal structuring, and you will learn the language. Just like if I put you in China, within 5 years, you're going to speak Chinese fluently because if you want to survive, you have to. Now, one of the places you can learn is Kim and I in October. I'm sorry, I said October. It's September. Wrong date. September 14th and 15th, 2024. We're going to be teaching our Whatbox seminar that we've been teaching for more than a decade now. And so again, it's going to be September 14th and 15th, 2024. And it'll be in Tampa, Florida, or you can attend on Zoom. It's going to be recorded. And the manual is probably about 270 pages. So this is not just slides. This is manuals and documents and like the deals you're seeing now like this, but all the paperwork that goes along with it. So right now we have an early bird special we're offering at $597. You can bring a guest for $397. And to get full information about Whatbox 2024, please go to our website at billingkimcook.com. So again, this is one of the places to learn how to creatively structure deals. But again, this is an advanced course. This is not basics by any stretch of the imagination. This is advanced. So you may be wondering who Kim and I are. Just know that we're mom and pop investors. Nothing special about us. We've been doing it for nearly 35 years. And our portfolio consists of single family rentals, notes, options, and a small mobile home park. And we teach, like you heard me say several times, advanced creative deal structuring courses. And if you really want to learn about it, the best place to go is billingkimcook.com. Now, I want to share with you the most important lesson I ever learned as a real estate investor. And it came from Pete Fortunato. So years ago, around 2002, 2003, I was working on a deal that was very, very complicated. And it had a lot of my offer had a lot of moving parts. And I put together a really terrific offer, but I knew that with all the moving parts, it was going to be confusing. And as we all know, a confused mind says no. And so I called up Pete Fortunato, who's just an incredible deal maker, and said, can you help me with this? Again, I was still newer to investing back in 2002. And he helped me restructure my offer where it went from 9 moving parts to just 2. I made that offer. The sellers accepted my offer, and Kim and I still own that house today. This was a very, very important deal to me. Now, another thing you may not know about me is Kim and I wrote a weekly real estate investing column that ran in papers in Georgia's syndicated column about creative deal structuring. And we wrote that for 13 years. And when this deal went down, I wrote a column entitled Pete Fortunato, the greatest outside the box thinker. So remember, the key is outside the box thinker. And I was very proud of this column, and I talked about this deal. Anyway, so when the column ran, I cut it out of the paper. I put it on a very nice plaque, and I mailed the plaque to Pete Fortunato, the greatest outside the box thinker. Now comes the biggest lesson I've ever learned as a real estate investor. So he gets the plaque, and Pete sends me back an email. And in the email, it only has 2 words. Care to guess what those 2 words are? Man, this worked my brain. And I ended up driving down to Madeira Beach to talk to Pete, because I'm thinking all along that I'm supposed to be working outside the box. And then Pete comes along and says, what box? And the lesson I learned from him concerning this was for us as real estate investors to reach our full potential as advanced creative deal makers. We have to understand there can be no box. That if there is a box and it's chained to you and you're carrying that around with you, you're working outside of it, but you're going to always be held back by that box. So the only way you reach your full potential is you have to realize there is no box. What a lesson. And from that day forward, my ability to structure deals skyrocketed. Great lesson, don't you think? So now you know where the name What Box came from. You know where the shirts come from. Came from Pete Fortunato. Now let's move forward to, I get calls from investors who are failing, and I get those calls on a regular basis. And you should know that when I get those phone calls, I ask only 2 questions. And almost every time I can get right to the heart of the problem. I can find out exactly why the investor is failing with just 2 questions. The first question is, how many written offers have you made in the past 30 days? The second question is, how many written offers have you made in the past 12 months? Well, when I go to the first question, the answer is 0. When I ask the second question, the answer is less than 10 written offers in 12 months. What in the heck is the investor doing with his or her time if they're going out and just making 10 written offers a year? Folks, it takes me 40, 50, 60 written offers to get one good doable deal. 40, 50, 60. And I'm really good at this. So how does someone who's new, who doesn't really speak the language of creative deal structuring, how do they go out and expect to do 10 written offers and do 17 different deals? I mean, it doesn't even make any sense, does it? You have to make the written offer. So now let's talk about what is the fastest, cheapest, and most effective way to get face-to-face with homeowners and make written offers. And it's knocking on homeowners' doors. Nothing is faster, nothing is cheaper, nothing is more effective. And so I have spent my lifetime knocking on people's doors. And when I mean I've spent a lifetime knocking on homeowners' doors, I mean since 1972 through now, that's 52 years, I have made my living knocking on homeowners' doors and being invited in. So in this picture, here's the breakdown. When I was 12 years old, I used to take my mother's Electrolux shampooer and I would go door to door and I would say, I'll shampoo your biggest or dirtiest carpet, $5. And that's how I made money as a kid. When I was 18, I got a job with Electrolux selling Electrolux vacuums door to door. And that's how I put myself through college. And when I graduated, I could have gone to work for Procter & Gamble, but I ended up staying with Electrolux for a total of 18 years selling vacuums door to door because the pay was so much greater than anything else I could do. And then when I was 35, I moved from selling vacuums door to door to becoming a real estate investor. And it was so much easier than trying to sell a vacuum because now I was no longer a seller, I was a buyer. And people put these great big signs in the yard that says for sale. No one ever did that. No one ever put a sign in the yard saying my vacuum's broken. So it was so much easier. But I have spent my entire life knocking on people's doors and being invited in. And for a big portion of that as a real estate investor, I took investors out 60 people at a time. And this is all over the country, including in Miami, including in West Palm Beach, including in Venice, including California, New York, Connecticut. Name the place, I've been there. And I tell people before we go out, there's going to be 3 things that will happen when we go out today. And again, remember, I'm the one knocking on the door and I got 60 people standing in the yard behind me. And I tell them before we head out, but we'll make between 5 and 10 written offers today. Remember, the problem most investors have is they weren't making 10 written offers in a year. And I'm making 5 to 10 written offers in a day in a town I've never been in before. Second, and you're not going to believe this, 8 out of 10 sellers will invite us, all of us, in. I get in the home 80% of the time when I'm talking to the seller, 8 out of 10 sellers invite us in. I'm not making this up. I mean, I'm known from one coast to the other. Try to find something on YouTube where someone says I'm full of crap. I've taken out hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people. 5 to 10 written offers every time we go out. 8 out of 10 sellers will invite us in, and we'll find 1 to 3 shadow sellers every time we go out. A shadow seller is someone who's going to put their house on the market in the next 12 months. It's not on the market yet. And people always tell me about how competitive it is. Well, when you're finding shadow sellers, it's not competitive at all because nobody knows about them. However, when I'm talking to a neighbor and said, do you know of anybody in this neighborhood thinking about selling? They come out, they look like traffic cops. They start pointing to different people who are thinking about selling or their houses are on the market. That's how I find these people. And if you want further proof, this year, I'm in the process of making 1,000 written offers. I'm 64 years old. This is my last hurrah. I'll keep door knocking, but not like this. But I'm in the process of making 1,000 written offers. I'm recording each offer. And I'm going to be turning these into videos, 25 offers at a time. So 1 through 25, 26 through 50. And those videos will be on our YouTube channel or on our website, billandkimcook.com. And you'll see the offers. I'll be interviewing sellers and buyers and lenders and whoever I see that's out there. And I'll start putting those videos up probably within the next 7 to 10 days. So follow along. You'll see the addresses of the property. You can Google map it. You'll see exactly where I'm working. Now, let's go back to creative deal structuring. So as a lender, well, let me stop there for a second, Alexa, and hit me with any questions you have. So we're a little bit ahead of game so I can answer some questions.
Absolutely. So as you can probably anticipate, the most questions I have in the Q&A right now are regarding the first deal. So is it okay to circle back?
Foreclosing on myself? Okay.
Yes. Is that okay? Okay. So can you close the day before an auction in all states in Florida?
Every state's foreclosure laws are different. I do not know what the foreclosure laws are in Florida. I can tell you to the letter what the foreclosure laws in Georgia, because I work a 5-mile circle around the Cartersville, Georgia Walmart. So I understand Georgia. I cannot help you. And your job is to go learn what the foreclosure laws are in Florida. That'd be a great study group to form up.
Absolutely. And we do classes on that topic as well. So definitely look in the upcoming events for that. Alrighty. Sometimes you said it's good to foreclose on yourself. When is it not a good time? Or is it a better way to structure this question is, how did you know to foreclose on yourself rather than sell without foreclosure?
Well, in this case, what I wanted to do was I was wanting to flip this house. I did not want this house. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. My rentals are all 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And so I didn't want to keep this house. It didn't meet the profile of what I want for a rental. So I'm going to flip it. Now I can go rehab it. I can put it on the market. That would take about 2 or 3 months. And then I can try to sell it, use my realtor, pay the real estate commissions. Maybe the first buyer falls through, got to go to the second buyer. It's going to take me time. Or I can foreclose on myself, take it to the foreclosure auction where it's very, very, very competitive and people are outbidding themselves. They're bidding more than the house it really is worth. It's what guys do. They get in a pissing contest. Sorry, the expression, but that's what's going on. They're in a pissing contest. And it's like, who's gonna get this house? And they overpay. And they're overpaying and paying me. That's why foreclosing on myself in this case was the right way to go. And if I'm going to keep the house as a rental, then no, I wouldn't foreclose on myself because I want to keep the house.
Awesome. Thank you so much. How do you get cash flow while you are paying the homeowner's taxes? This might be the second deal,
I
actually.
do not get any cash flow. Remember, I don't own the house. I have the right to buy the house. And so the money is coming from my self-directed IRA, and I use Advanta, and they're my custodian. And so each year, my IRA is investing in this option by paying the property taxes. But remember, for every dollar that is spent, it's going to get $1.50. It's going to get $1.50 off the price. But one day, my IRA will exercise this option and buy this property. So let's say it's 10 years from now. And the purchase price, because I've been paying the property taxes for 10 years, is not 175. Let's say it's 150. But remember, that property is appreciated over the 10 years. So maybe it's worth 300 now. So I buy the house for 150 and I turn around and sell it for 300 and put $150,000 into my solo 401k. Trust me, I did well. The yield on that's going to be incredible.
All right. And I think this is hopping back to the first deal. How is that enforceable? What if the owner passes away?
I don't understand how is what enforceable.
Probably, I'm not sure if he's in regards to the foreclosing on yourself.
No, I think he's talking about the option. He's talking about William Street. And so the question is, what happens if the owner passes away? And the answer is, I secure the option to the property using either a mortgage or a deed of trust. So think of it this way. If this owner had gone to Bank of America and borrowed $100,000 and he passes away, is Bank of America still going to get paid back their $100,000? And the answer is yes. Or if the heirs don't pay back the $100,000, Bank of America can foreclose and take the property that way. So I secure my options using mortgages and deeds of trust. Again, this is a lot more information than I can give on this program. So this is what Box is for. I have 2 days to explain different things and have them make sense. But I can't really go into a lot of detail because there just isn't time to say, hey, here's how you secure an option. And I'm going to need to move on now. Okay, Alexa?
Yes, that was good for now. Thank you so much, Bill. Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Okay, so I want to show y'all, and this is for the lenders. When I talked to Alexa, she said, some of you are lenders. Now I want to work on the lenders and absolutely bend your brain. Here's something you've never thought of before. And when you get done with this group of slides, you're going to kick yourself in the butt on the amount of money that you've given up. Get ready. Again, this is to the lenders. So can you creatively structure a deal if you're a lender? And remember, Kim and I are lenders. We have single families. We have a mobile home park. I do option work, but we also are lenders. So I want you to see us at work. So a friend of mine called me up and wanted to buy a mobile home park in Rome, Georgia. And so this was in 2003, and it was a 10-pad mobile home park. Now, I'm going to do the loan on this, but lenders out there, I want you to watch, pay close attention at the end when you see the option kicker come in. And this is what's going to warp you. So the buyer needs $129,000. Okay. That's what he needs from me. I'm going to be in first position mortgage. And the loan amount is going to be $128,000. Now remember, this is a commercial note. Dodd-Frank is not involved. And he needs 129, but I'm only going to loan him 128. The note terms are 10 years, and there's going to be a 90-day call built into the note. And the interest rate will be 13% compounding. Sorry, someone's walking right behind me. It happens.
Yeah.
So 13% compounding interest. I'm also charging 4 points. A point is 1% of the loan. So in this case, 1% of 128,000. And that totals 5,333. So that's to be rolled into the note. So the note will be for more than 128,000. You got to add 5,333 to it. But the borrower will only get 128,000 at closing, and the monthly payments will be 1986. So lenders, you're going to be used to seeing this commercial note secured to the property. This is stuff we all work with on a regular basis. However, The question you got to have is, what about the missing $1,000 the borrower needs? Hang on to your hats, fellas, ladies. Get ready. Get ready. So in order for the buyer of this property, my borrower, to do this, I said, I'm going to do a loan with you, but I also want to acquire an option from you. And he goes, what's that? And so I explained to him that it would give me a right to buy a percentage interest in his park sometime in the future. And I would pay him $1,000 for that option. So this is not going to be a loan of $1,000. This is going to be, I'm acquiring an option for $1,000. So the option consideration fee, as you can see there, is $1,000. That gets him to $129,000. The option strike price is $1,000. In other words, for me to buy an interest in his property, it's going to cost me $1,000. Now, remember, I've already given him $1,000 consideration. Those two numbers are going to be important in a second. So here are the terms of the option. The 50-year option is secured to the property by a mortgage. So it's a 50-year option, which means anytime in the next 50 years, I have a right to buy an interest in this park. And I'm sorry, there's a lady talking right next to me. And if y'all can hear that, I apologize. She's about to walk out. And there she goes. Okay. So it's a 50-year option. I have the right to buy an interest in this park anytime in the next 50 years. And as I said, just to answer one of the questions, the option will be secured to the property using a mortgage. Now, this is in Georgia, so we use a security deed or a deed of trust. I'm going to call it a mortgage because you're in Florida and you use mortgages. And just understand, a mortgage or a deed of trust secures a promise, not just a promissory note. So we have a right, when he gave us this, when we purchased this option, we have a right to buy a 10% interest in this park anytime in the next 50 years. So if I exercise the option, that means I go on the warranty deed as a 10% owner. That means I get 10% of the rents. That means if he goes to sell it, I get 10% of the equity. That means if he owes property taxes, I got to pay 10% of the property taxes, 10% of the insurance, 10% of the repairs. But I'll be a 10% owner in this park, and it cost me a grand total of $1,000. And it's going to be held in my self-directed retirement account. And the consideration, the $1,000 that I gave as consideration, applies toward the strike price, the purchase price, which is $1,000, which means I don't have to give him another dime. How's that for option work? Now, a lot of you that are newer investors, your minds are bent. Again, we're speaking Chinese, but we're advanced, right? So come back and watch this recording several more times and it will start to make some sense. Now, I want you to see the option agreement. And this is the actual agreement. And if you look at the box at the bottom, you can see number one is that's the consideration. In other words, I'm purchasing the right to buy a 10% interest in this property for $1,000. Here's number two. This is the agreement dates of the option. You can see it begins on the 8th of May, 2023, and it ends 50 years later on May the 8th, 2073. And finally, if this option is exercised, it says that the total purchase price of the 10% undivided interest as a tenant in common in the subject property will be $1,000, of which the $1,000 consideration will apply. Now, I don't know how you can get a deal this good, and this is how I do a lot of my lending. In addition to doing the loan, I also seek to get an option. And you may be asking yourself, why would he do this? His name is Melvin. Why would Melvin do this? And the answer is, he gets me. I've done a lot of trailers. I've done a lot of Lonnie deals. We own a mobile home park. I learned from Dyke Spotiford, who developed mobile home parks. So I'm really good in this area. And this park was a wreck when he bought it. And I've worked with him, given him advice. I'm not out there working. I'm not cutting the grass or anything, but I am advising him on the things he needs to do that he flat didn't know. And Melvin is in his early 30s. And this is going to be his retirement plan one day. This park will be worth more than $1 million one day. And he bought it for, I think, $140,000, and he got a loan from us for 128, and he gave him $1,000 option to have me a part of this deal. And a lot of you lenders out there, you can help newer investors structure the deals better, safer, wiser, make them more profitable. And what you ask for in return is either to do a profit sharing note, a participation note, or you include an option. Now let me hit you with the last deal we're going to cover tonight. We have 10 minutes left, and then I'll hit some questions. This is a deal that we did earlier this year. So this is West Beach in Tampa, and this homeowner was losing her home to property taxes. So she was 4 years behind on her property taxes, 3 years behind on her property taxes, and it was going to a property tax auction. So again, here we are with the T-bar, homeowners paying positions. And when I talked to her and sat down and talked to her, by the way, a number of investors met with her, and they all said the same thing. They gave her an offer of somewhere in the neighborhood of $120,000 to $150,000, but she would have to move from the property, and she did not want to move. So she turned down those offers. When I met with her, I did a T-bar, and I found out that she was going to lose the house to a tax sale on December the 21st, and she did not have the money to pay the back taxes. And she can't afford to pay, well, I already had that. She can't afford to pay the property tax arrears. And she's living on Social Security, and she goes, that's just not enough. I don't have enough coming in to even to live on. And I said, what about moving somewhere else more affordable? She said, my house is free and clear. There's nothing more affordable. I can't afford to live anywhere else. I've got to stay here. So in getting these things down on the T-bar, here's the other side of it. So I said, we're going to stop the property tax auction, and we'll pay your property tax arrears, and we'll pay you $500 a month, and you don't have to move. I told you that the person I'm dealing with will tell me how to structure this deal. And those of you that are more experienced know where I'm going to go with this. You can see the way this deal is going to get structured. So here we go. I ended up buying the house from her, and it was going to be an owner-financed, creatively structured deal. So this is a nice 3-bedroom, 1-bath, single-family house in a great Tampa neighborhood. And the current fair market value of the property is $225,000. And the property tax arrearage is $13,600. And our purchase price on this property was $150,260, well below fair market value. Now, I didn't have the $150,000, not a dime of it. So that was a great deal. I had none of the money. So look at how we bought it. 0 down. And I got a 0 interest rate from her. And I agreed to make 298 monthly payments of $500 a month, which increased her cash flow each month by $500 a month. And she was able to keep living in the house. And again, what you're seeing me do in these deals is I'm just scratching the surface on even these 4 deals you've seen. So just know that when I teach a seminar, we go into a lot more detail about these deals, and you see all the paperwork that goes with it, and you get a copy of all the documents that I use. And so for most of the people who are listening to this, learning the language of advanced creative deal structuring is just too much work. You've listened to this and you're going, yeah, I don't want to learn all this. And that it's not for you. However, there's others that are watching this, and whether you're a deal maker or a landlord or you're a lender, your whistle has been wetted and you want to learn more. You're like, how do I learn advanced creative deal structuring? Where do I go? And again, and I have the wrong date. I apologize. I sure did. I messed up there. But it's going to be WhatBox 2024. It's going to be September 14th and 15th, 2024 in Tampa, Florida. You can attend in person or on Zoom, either way you want to go. This meeting is recorded. It's recorded, so you can come back and watch it again and again. And there's an early bird special of $597. You can bring a guest with you for $397. And again, to register, to get more information, you can go to our website at BillandKimCook.com. But let's make the deal a little bit better. You're investors. So let's make the deal better. So here's us making the deal better. And this deal is only going to be good through midnight tomorrow night. At the stroke of midnight, just like with Cinderella, this deal goes away and it will not come back. So if you use because of this RIA, if the price will drop from $597 down to $497. You can still bring a guest to $397, but when you go to register, you have to use the coupon code BPM RIA. It doesn't matter, it's not case sensitive, but you have to put in the letters BPM RIA in the coupon code, and you go to Bill and Kim Cook to register. So tonight, we covered 4 different deals. We talked about creative deal structuring being a language. I shared with you the most important lesson I ever learned as a real estate investor. We talked about the fastest, cheapest, most effective way to get face-to-face with sellers, which is door knocking. And you saw 4 creatively constructed deals. The first one, I foreclosed on myself. On the second one, it was someone who didn't want to sell. I agreed to pay the property taxes. With the third one, I did it as a lender. With the fourth one, it was an owner finance deal. So that was a wide variety. And that's just 4 of the different ways deals can be structured. So with that, I want to say thanks for having me here. And I want to ask any questions you have. So Alexa, back over to you and have me with questions.
Amazing, guys. And thank you so much, everyone, for the positive feedback in the chat. I love to see it. Tevin, you know what's up. And Ken, he goes, I was not a fan of creative financing, but I am now. So love, 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 love to see it. I am obsessed. So I do have some questions in the Q&A, but just guys, so you know, last call for questions, please put those in the Q&A box so we don't miss them. There's a Q&A box in the Zoom menu, last call. We got to run with it. And I do have a winner for the raffle for the free membership. Congratulations, Scott B. Congrats. I'll get in touch with you after the webinar. So look out for an email from me. Congratulations on the free membership, Scott B. So last call for questions. All right, guys. I'm going to hit the questions that I can. Okay, so these are all questions that Bill answered, but here we go. Why would that mobile home buyer agree to that option?
Because the main reason why he agreed to the option is he didn't have another source to get the money. So he needed the $129,000, and I was the source for him. So that was the terms. I looked and said, I will loan you the money. This is what I want in return. But I explained to him that in giving me the option, that he also was getting me, meaning I have a lot of experience with mobile homes, and this has really been a benefit to him because he had a bunch of white trash in this park. And that may be racist to say, but it was a bunch of white trash. And we evicted almost everybody out of the park. And now he is rebuilding the homes. And again, he's from Guatemala, the guy that owns the park. And he has his mom has a bread factory, and they have workers and they need a really nice place to stay. So he's rebuilding this park, and it's going to be where the people that work for his mom, they'll have a nice place to live. And so that's what he's doing. And to him, he saw this as a great benefit to have me on his side. And it is a great benefit. Now, remember, I have this option, but more than likely at some point, what he's going to do is come to me and say, what will it take to make this option go away? And my answer to him is, how badly do you want my option to go away? And we'll come to an accord.
All righty, let's keep moving. Oh gosh. What if the Tampa house burned down? Did you have insurance on it?
Kim is working on the insurance now. So on a lot of our properties, we're in the process of self-insuring. So we've been in the business for 35 years. And in 35 years, I have turned in 1 claim on a mobile home roof in a park. That's it. So I paid an absolute fortune for insurance just in case something bad happened. And so Kim and I have bought 3 rental properties. And the sole purpose of those 3 rental properties is to generate cash that will go into a bucket. And that bucket's going to hold $150,000. And if anything happens at one of our houses, I'll use the money in the bucket to do the repairs. So we are going to get liability insurance, but I think we're going to pretty much stop there. But remember, we've been at this game for a very, very long time, and we don't carry debt on our properties. So I'm in a different position than an investor who's starting off. An investor starting off, yeah, they should carry insurance on everything.
Yes, absolutely. And
We
we
did.
agree with that statement right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, we did for more than 25 years. We carried heavy insurance because that was our first line of defense. But we're now moving to a place as we hit our mid-60s, and we've been doing this for 30 some odd years, that we can insure ourselves, but we will have liability insurance on every property we have. So if there's a lawsuit, we're protected. It's just if there's a fire or a tree falls into a house, we have the cash to pay for the repair.
That's what we need to hear. Okay, so, okay. Why does the West Beach Street homeowner not get a reverse mortgage, or how is your offer better than a reverse mortgage?
She never went and got a reverse mortgage because, like I said, I just scratched the surface on these deals. So y'all didn't see the full deals. So at what box I will be covering West Beach Street in detail. And so here's the part you didn't know. This house was owned by her grandmother and grandfather. Her grandfather died. Her grandmother owns the house. They did something called a life estate deed. So the grandmother owned the house, and the 2 remainder men were her mother, Natalie's mother, who owned 50% of the house, and Natalie, the daughter who I bought the house from, she had 50% beneficial interest in the house. Okay. Now, her mother, Natalie's mother, or the grandmother, dies. So now, and there was no probate done, by the way. They didn't have the money for the probate. So without probate, the house is in limbo. Then Natalie's mother had a stroke and went into the hospital for several months. While Natalie's mother is in the hospital, she's not too far from getting out. Natalie was at home, and this is going to freak you out. A bureau fell over on Natalie, trapping her underneath the bureau, which is where she stayed for 7 days without moving under this bureau. Her mother got released from the hospital, and the mother was taken back to the house. No one knew where Natalie was. So the ambulance took Natalie's mother back. The door was locked. They drilled out the door. They got it open. They got her mother in the house. They could hear something in the back of the house. They went in and found Natalie under the bureau. They then took Natalie to the hospital, where Natalie was in the hospital, where she suffered a stroke. While Natalie's in the hospital recovering from her stroke, the mother dies of another stroke and a heart attack. So Natalie's not there, and the mother has to be cremated, but nobody knows what to do, and nobody has any money. Natalie's released from the hospital. Now she's back home, and no probate was ever done. So as part of us agreeing to do this deal, one of the things we did is we handled the probate for Natalie's mother and Natalie's grandmother. So now Natalie owned 100% of the house. So she could have gotten a reverse mortgage then, but by then I already had the house under contract. Now I know that what I just told you, I lost 99% of the people in this phone call, but I want you to understand this is the real world situation. And remember, Natalie was trapped under this bureau for 7 stinking days without moving. And when she needed help, the investors who showed up one after another, all they did is they offered her somewhere around $130,000 to $150,000 cash and said, but you have to move. And she said, I can't move. This is my home. These are the belongings. I have nowhere to go and I have no money. And none of the investors listened to her. And what I said is, I will buy the house from you and I will settle the estate and I'll pay your back property taxes so you don't lose the house. And I'll buy the house from you and pay you an additional $500 a month. And here's the part you don't know yet. I rented her the house back for $0. Natalie has a lot of health issues. She won't be in the house for a long time, but I wanted the time that she has to be quality in the home that she grew up in. Remember, I told you our job as real estate investors is not to buy, sell, or rent houses. Our job is to solve people's real estate problems.
That is so true. And Ken, thank you for asking that next question that got answered. You just completely answered his question, and that's just awesome. I love that. So
These are the deals that we run into. And if the only tool in your deal structuring toolbox is the big damn hammer, a 70 cents on the dollar offer minus the expenses, if that's all you have in the toolbox, you can't help people like this. And it is so much fun to be able to make the impossible deals possible.
absolutely. Oh my gosh, this was absolutely incredible, Bill. You rocked it. You answered so many questions tonight. That last deal. I mean, my jaw was like, I just, yeah, to be able to help that kind of situation is another level of self-fulfilling and satisfying in every way. So,
And this is the purpose of What Box. This is why you come
yes,
to the really good classes. And
yes, you
deal,
guys,
this is
please.
just one deal, but you'll see deal after deal after deal, similar to the one with Natalie, similar to the guy that was couldn't afford his property taxes, similar to me foreclosing on myself. These are the ones I cover. This is why it's an advanced creative deal structuring class. And it's not like anything else you've ever taken.
I'm obsessed. So you guys, please click the link in the chat. I will be emailing each and every one of you as soon as we hop off this webinar. I will email you guys the link. You guys use the coupon code. It's super easy, BPM REIA at checkout. You'll get $100 off your ticket. Already early bird pricing and $100 off. Can't ask for more. Plus the option, guys, in person or online. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. So go ahead and register. Bring somebody with you, get $200 off for that guest. So get moving, you guys, because this offer is only valid until tomorrow at midnight. So make your moves, do it quickly. We have people in here in this class right now that have already attended this and highly recommend it. So that makes me super happy to see that. And thank you again, Bill. And thank you, Kim, so much for all the help in the chat. And Bill, you guys are such a power team. I look up to you guys so much. Just hearing the things that you're doing and have been doing for so long, it makes me feel really happy to have you come speak and share with our group here. It's really special and extremely enlightening. Extremely.
My pleasure.
So awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry
And
about
thank
the light. I just saw that. I just realized just in the room I'm in, this is what I get. I'm in the clubhouse and there's evidently a spotlight right over my head.
you are good. I think everyone was really happy with the answers, responses, Q&A, all the above. And the deals you gosh, the deals you had tonight were some interesting deals. We show some pretty crazy deals at BPM RIA. We're not shy, and everybody knows here that we have some pretty insane deals, but those were on another level, and we are always trying to expand and learn more every single day here at BPM RIA. So it couldn't have been better timing. And yeah, Bill, we're gonna have to do this again soon. That was awesome.
Well, I look forward to meeting you face to face. We have Kim's family has a condo in Destin, which is not too far from where you are right now. So maybe we can
Yeah,
get together for lunch one day.
I know. I'm actually down south right now. Everybody knows.
Okay.
Most people in here know I'm bi-coastal. I'm coming back and forth, but I am down in SoFlo right now. I'll be bouncing back and forth. I like to do 4th of July up there, so we'll see what happens. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We did record tonight's session, as Bill said. It'll be posted to our YouTube channel, super easy, youtube.com/little at symbol BPM REIA. I'll be sending everyone an email, so look out for my email. Replay will be posted within 24 to 48 hours after we sign off here, and we will see you all next week. Yeah. So have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much, Bill, again. such an awesome class. That was absolutely incredible. And you guys, you will not regret it. What box? Oh, I just love that name. Now it hits different. It hits different now. So thank you so much, Bill, again, and Kim, and everyone for tuning in tonight. Have a great rest of your night, and we will see you soon.
You also, hey, y'all take care. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.